Welcome to new section, which is tickets for Active Directory. This is the part of our labs that we are doing in our technical skills course, which is called Helpdesk Technical Skills V1.0. Now, this first 60 minutes is basically a quick solution to the ticket, because a lot of people watch this type of videos and they want to get a quick solution, but the actual learning starts after 60 seconds. So if the ticket is basically, I'm trying to reset my password, but it's telling me I'm not meeting the password reset criteria, do we need to use symbols in the new password? Now, this person is asking a very specific question. This person is not saying how long it is, or you can't just run the basic net accounts command in this scenario. They're looking for a specific answer. So how do you resolve this? So basically, you're going to go to your lab and you open your Windows 10 machine that is joined to the domain, and that is what you're going to learn from this ticket in the next 20 minutes. But the easy way, you will go to your search, you're going to open local policies, local security policies. If it's joined to the domain, it's going to grab the domain policy from the domain controller, and when you click on password policy, it's right here. So we see that password must meet complexity requirement is enabled, and you're checking this from your own domain machine. You go to the properties and then you click on explain. This is where you can actually give the answer to this user. And now after this session, you're going to watch next 20 minutes to learn how to learn technical things around this ticket. It's not going to be exactly maybe just solving this ticket anymore. It's going to be more like you're learning to become a technical person, and you're not just watching my video for 60 seconds and just boom, you got the answer there, because you really need to know a lot more to get to this point, because there can be things that may not even work because you're not on the right domain. Thank you so much. Welcome to the unit tickets for Active Directory. Now, this is a Sandbox lab that we have been doing in this course. So I assume that you have went through practice labs. You created a standalone domain controller. So at this point, you know how to create a domain controller, so you can spin up any practice lab because it comes with that domain controller pre-built. You don't have to recreate things again and again because it's already there. You know how to create a machine, add a machine to a domain controller, and you have done some practice by going through these videos and of course these documentation. So it's time that we should spend some time on some real tickets, and this unit will grow with time. We are going to put a lot more tickets over here, so sometimes you may want to come back after, let's say, 3 weeks or 4 weeks. You may see a new video on Active Directory tickets, and you will be doing your own self-research and finding out your self tickets where you can create by yourself. So the whole idea of this is to get more practical and get more experience and grab real tickets from real companies, so we can understand how actually you are going to implement your learning in the real environments. If you have been watching our YouTube playlist, this is a playlist. If you click on go to Job Skills Share, don't forget to subscribe. When you click on playlist, this is actually getting added to our hands-on modern IT professional lab section. So if you have your own virtual box and you are not using our labs, you can definitely recreate the same sort of scenarios in your own lab system. Of course, you have to be a lite member to get access to at least what I'm working on today. But if you have, let's say, plus membership after March 2022, you will get a lab with your plus membership. If, let's say, you have plus membership, you don't have the lab with you because you have the old plus membership, then you can contact us and we will give you a single lab order that you can buy and add it to your plus membership, so you don't lose some of the features that you have from the previous membership. Premium membership, of course, have a lot of access, so we're not going to talk about that. You guys have all of the access. So now let's get started. How do you get access to these labs and how you're going to perform these tickets that I'm going to show? Simply go to your practice lab, click on my labs, and then here you can see your username, password, everything will be provided over here. If you have a Sandbox access, it's going to be just one Sandbox. We will be using the Sandbox because we think that if somebody have 149 access with lite membership, they should be able to replicate, and we can start from here with any lab. So log in with your account and let's go ahead and get started with some practice. So in this section, we're going to make one video per ticket, so it doesn't become like a very long videos. So this video will go under this one, number 1 ticket. So if we are going to perform or find out this lab, or how do you actually perform this action, you may be thinking, hey, what lab should I use? So in this scenario, like I said, you can open any lab. It comes with domain controller if you have premium access, which is pretty big access right here. But since we are going to use a lite membership access here, so it's going to be the Sandbox access that we want to try, and everybody should be following this one. Then let's go ahead and click on Sandbox and click on introduction, and we're going to start this lab. And because on the left side we don't need anything, we are using our own tickets now, we're going to remove that section and turn on all of these lab systems right here. So now we are going to wait for these domain controllers to come up. These are, whenever you have a lab setup like this, always make sure that domain controller is running first and the rest of the machines will follow. So even if they turn up quickly, let's say they got turned on quickly, you still have to wait for domain controller, because if there are machines connected to the domain controller, it will not work because it's connected to the domain services. So you'll have to wait for it to come up. These are real VMs or Hyper-Vs, or some of the machines are real servers. So it takes a little time for it to come up. And the way I love this, because it's not like a simulated environment in this type of scenario where you are trying to learn something very hands-on, then of course this is a very powerful access. So what is the ticket? Let's talk about the ticket right here. The first ticket came to the help desk. It says, I'm trying to reset my password, but it's telling me that I'm not meeting the password reset criteria. Do we need to use symbols in the new password? Mine is definitely long enough. Look, this is something that if you have taken our comments seriously, one of the comments was that when you look at our articles or you kind of join in or ask us questions, we say that please do not miss this training right here. This is a real world training done with members who are already working in IT right now. So I really tell people that do not miss this, because now if you would have missed this training, what would have happened here? I'm going to talk about something here. Are we talking about Active Directory over here or something else? So even though this user kind of is a part of Active Directory, but this ticket may not be so much related to Active Directory. So it's like two things. Yes, you can go and kind of help out the user by resetting and doing something like force resettings, and there is going to be an Active Directory part involved, but you also need to understand where are this information coming from. So if you have taken this training seriously, this course, you know now what I'm talking about. And you guessed it right. I'm talking about group policy, because it's an under Active Directory part of our Sandbox, but that's why we tell people that you need to understand real world skills learning is very different than certification learning, because you're not focusing on one area and then you don't touch other things. In real world skills, you touch everything. So now if we have a domain controller open right here, and let's say our user is this right here from plab win 10, and this user is complaining that I cannot get into I cannot change my password. So maybe this is what's happening right here. So if you want to kind of replicate this, I would do this. You come over here and then open let's say an Active Directory. So we're going to open Active Directory on this server. And you see how real it gets, like you're like just real company working in AD right now. You're going to tool, you're going to Active Directory users and computers, and here you're going to open Active Directory. And let's say we're going to create a dummy user. We're going to create new, and we're going to name this Stacy. We always use Stacy, by the way. Stacy, and we're going to open, and we're going to give it let's say I'm going to say user must change password at next logon, right? I'm going to actually do that because I want to give you guys a scenario that's what this user is probably having, or maybe this user password expired and now she's getting prompted for that logon. So I'm going to click next here and finish. So Stacy is added to our network. So number one thing, by doing this practice, by recreating this ticket, you're doing two things. One, you're learning about Active Directory as you are doing this ticket. Second, when you're going to PLab, now you must be asking a question in practice lab. Every time you turn on the machine, it automatically logs you into a user, the administrator user, and that's by design to make it easy for people to learn practice lab stuff. But in this case, we don't need that. We don't need to be a user, right? We don't need to be an admin here. So when you click on this little icon, it says auto log on. You can turn that off right now. And then when we basically sign out of this machine, then what's going to happen? It's basically going to log us out and give us a screen of this log on. So you see it says error, right? You can click on this little reconnect, and then when you do a reconnect, it's going to go back out, and now you see a username and password X section in there, right? So we created Stacy. We can come over here and now type Stacy, and we can give that password, and boom, there you go. So now the user password must be changed before signing in. So let's say this user is doing that right now. This is kind of like a similar scenario now. Either the password is expired, they turn on their machine and they say, hey, your password is expired, you need to change it. Or something else is happening, they maybe forgot their password. Whatever is the reason, they are stuck and they want to change their password, or they just want to change their password right with their first logon. This could be a new user asking you the same question. I am on the screen right now and I need to change my password, but what is that criteria? And that is where you need to know knowledge. Knowledge should come from trainings. But of course, I'm going to show you in this ticket that how quickly you as an administrator can kind of like find these things out. So now let's assume, I said this machine right here. Let's say this is you now. This is the Helpdesk machine. You're sitting on your machine. Of course, you're not going to be sitting on a domain controller, right? That's going to be crazy if someone do that kind of stuff. But if you're, let's say, here in this machine right now, then how can you find out this information? You gotta call. You're sitting on the call right now. So the first thing, the easiest way, if a user call you like that and say, hey, I don't know anything about, or maybe you're like new to this stuff and like, you know what, I don't know this from an Active Directory way, or I don't have access to it. How can I do this from a command line? So you're gonna open CMD like that while you're on the phone, or maybe before that now, because now you're learning this. So the first command, because you want to learn things from JSS, you would want to do things a little bit, this is going to take you more time. What I'm saying is, of course, when you start learning things, it's going to be very easy for you to just go and finish this video in 60 seconds. But the first command that you will be typing is who am I. So if you type who am I just like that, and if you put like this slash and question mark, it tells you what you can put in who am I command. So for example, we want to see if you are currently logged in correctly to the the machine. Like, are you on a domain or a workgroup machine? So right now when I use domain and workgroup, again, if you're like questioning again, go back to the training, because that's exactly what you're missing then. So if you type who am I, and let's say you slash FQDN and we enter, it tells us, look at this right here, unable to get fully qualified distinction name and current user is logged on is not a domain user. So this machine is actually not a good machine right now, because we are on a wrong system. And that is something that I wanted to just kind of show it to you, that look, you may think that you are on a domain environment, but what if you're not? What if you're working on a workgroup environment? Of course, whatever you do after that is not going to work, because this machine cannot go and talk to this domain controller Active Directory, because this machine was never part of that. So if you want to play around with this and you want to be, let's say, hey, okay, now I got stuck with this, doing this ticket right here, but you know what, let's just add this to the domain, because that's something I want to learn, right? And that is exactly what I want you guys to do with these kind of tickets. Don't just go and try to complete this ticket in 60 seconds. You're not going to learn anything. So now you figured out that this machine is not a part of a domain. So what do I need to do? I need to make sure that, let's say I want to add a Helpdesk account right now. Boom. So now you're adding something new into Active Directory. And you see I'm clicking here. So sometimes, of course, this could be a network issue, or your Wi-Fi issue. You left this machine for a long time and it didn't go to a sleep mode and it got hung there. Simply click on this little connect icon right here, is going to go back and connect everything back, and now you're back in there, right? The little troubleshooting stuff here going on over here as well. So if you click on user and click on help desk, you see in one video, sorry, I'm putting a wrong stuff. In one video, I am showing you a lot of different skills. Now that may not be true when you're working with a ticket like this, because you're already at help desk or you have rights and everything. But again, you're learning. Please try to do all of these steps again and again, even if it bores you out when you're a beginner. You're just gonna do this again and again to learn this. So now we added a help desk account. So if I wanna give this machine a powerful access, and if I am gonna be the person who's gonna be working with this user or helping them out, who do I need to be? I need to be at admin level. It may not be a domain admin, but some sort of admin rights needs to be given. But this is a lab environment, so we make you a domain admin. Okay, there you go. So now you just go back to this machine. I think we were on this one. So now we know that we can add this machine to the domain because we have that account that we just added into the Active Directory. Let's go to change settings. We're going to come to domain, and we're going to type practicelabs.com. How did I know this is the domain? Well, if you didn't know that, it's right here, practicelabs.com. So that is the Active Directory that we want to connect to, because that's what we have access to. So now if we've come back over here, so what are we going to do? We're going to put the help desk account that we just created, and we're going to put that information, and boom, there you go. The Active Directory account is on Active Directory, and we're going to restart this machine. And now if you go back to Active Directory, where is that machine now? Here you go. We just added that. So in one ticket, of course, you may be thinking, well, come on, that's not what the ticket is about. But if you are going to do all this stuff on a pre-built machines and you just jump into conclusion, that's for a person who already have knowledge. For a person who don't have any knowledge, or you're trying to learn this stuff, then exactly how I followed my way of doing this ticket right now, do that please, because you're learning multiple skills right here. And that is very useful when you are watching something and then you're doing something. It's a total different story over here. So we're gonna wait for that machine to come up. Let's go back here. So you see it's not connected, and if you try to connect it automatically, what's gonna happen? It is gonna go back to the admin account and it's signing you in. So remember that when you are working with these machines right here, and you always have to kind of come back over here and uncheck this little key icon, because you are now trying to put this machine and work on this machine on a domain level. So these are the little tricks of these labs. So if I sign out right now it's signing out, so nothing comes up. So I'm going to do this connection again, and let's see if it's going to come back with the screen that we are looking for right now. So what we have done so far, if you're going to click on other user, there you go. So it's a very confused way when someone look at this and they don't see this other user. They may see, oh, this machine is not even on domain, because I don't see on the bottom anything. If you click on other user, you see now everything is in there. So if I log in with the help desk account right now and log in, we can log in because we created this account right now. So now you're logged in with the help desk account. We're going to use the same method again, just so you learn how to quickly find out things when you log into a company's computer next time. When you're a brand new tech, always just do this who am I kind of thing when you're working with anybody's new systems, because you have no clue what are you on right now. So the best way is to just kind of like use this nice and easy command. Oops, I put it wrong. FQDN. I always make this mistake. QDN. So now you see, if I do the same command, what is it telling me? It is telling me that you are actually on a domain that is practicelab.com, and you're under users, and this is the help desk, basically the user, right? So that's great, because now whatever I'm pulling is going to be from the domain. Before I couldn't do that. So this is number one if you're going to do something like this on an Active Directory for a ticket, you got to first make sure that you are on domain. If that's not going to happen, you really cannot solve this ticket. You're just going to get a wrong information then. So now what do we do right here? Because we want to find out some of the complexity and things like that, so there are multiple ways you guys can do this. So if you just type net accounts right now, you see it's going to grab information and basically says minimum password age is 1, maximum password age is 42, minimum password length is 7. So the thing is about this is that where is this coming from? So if you have this information right now, you can tell the user, but where is this coming from? So I hope when people watch our training, they know that what group policy is now. So if you go to the Active Directory and if you go to the group policy management, and here if you expand your group policy practicelabs.com and you click on default policy, let's see if this is a default policy for servers or domain default policy, yes. So if you click on settings, it is generating a report. Close that, scroll all the way down. So here we have minimum age 1, minimum password length is 7, password must meet complexity requirement. So this information is enabled. Now this is great that you know this information, where it is coming from, you ran the report. But if we go back to the ticket, it's a little complex, and it's not something that simple, right? It's not like someone is asking you, hey, what's the number of characters? So you could have just run that net accounts, which is very easy, right? And that's it. But here a person is asking you a specific question in this ticket. So you got to understand how to then find answer for this specific. It says enable. You cannot just tell the user, oh, it's enabled, complexity is enabled. But a person is asking you specifically, what is the complexity, right? So this is where you need to know how to do that. So on the domain level, you can click on edit and go to policies, Windows settings, security settings, account policies, and you double click on the password. So now again, we are on the same thing, that this is a report, this is actual change right here you can do. So if I click on the complexity right here, this is where you can go to the properties now and click on explain. Now you're able to give your answer, right? Very nicely, and you can give that answer or maybe give them some examples too. And you as a technician should go ahead and start working on different type of complexity and start coming up with a temporary passwords that you can think of and then give them an examples. It will really save you time, because you don't want to give them a temporary just like a on the fly answer and you never tested it and she start doing that or he start doing that and spend another 20 minutes and then get mad. Okay, it's not working. Can you just come to my desk? And then you try it and it's not working, and that looks really bad. So now you know where the answer is, right? Where the complex answer is. You can go ahead and do your work by creating something on your own with examples like this. This is what's going to make you technical. But now you know the real answer for this ticket is not net accounts and just running and you got like a little numbers coming out of there. But now you will say, well, hold on, Danish, you did this on a domain controller. I want to do this on a desktop machine, and how can I do that without going to very much of installations and things like that? Can I just do this while I'm being on a domain network or as a help desk without installing any tools or anything like that? So yes, that is something you should be learning, because you're not going to be able to go on a domain controller and then do all these things and go to the edit of group policies. Most likely you will not be able to get access to that. So what we need to do, we need to go to our help desk machine, which is Windows 11 right here, right? So you're on this machine right now, and that is something that this whole 20 minutes long video I explain that you should be on a domain first to do all these type of stuff. So the thing you want to look for is local security policy. If you open that and you want to know the exact same information, you click on account policies, password policies, and here you go, you got the same information, right? So now if you wanted to give that answer, not using command line. You want to give the answer with some kind of words and like verbal type of answer. Here you go. You just go to properties, go explain, and now you can explain it. You see how easy it is. So in the beginning of the video, remember I showed you this in 30 seconds, but it's not that easy when somebody say, hey, yeah, you just show us that, but then nobody explains this stuff, and then you're stuck with all of this thinking that, okay, how do I do this? What if I was on a work group? What are some of the tiny things that I need to know, because I can definitely get stuck. So this is where the domain policies are coming. So if you want to test it and you want to learn something now extra, you can basically go to the domain controller and open group policy. So now you're trying to learn something from that training that you have listened, looked at it in first sessions, the live training, recorded training. So you come over here, go to edit policies now, and go to policies, Windows settings, and go to security. And this is something that you should do just so how things are changing over here. What if a system administrator went there and they say, we changed the password policy, guys, and somehow this person is complaining about their password. So maybe when you found out that system administrator changed their policies by doing the same steps like this, he went in there or they opened this, and then they just changed this to 8 or let's say 10, and they applied. Now you come back over here and you open a machine. The first thing you should do, let's say you're troubleshooting things with this user, you came over here, you opened it, and you're like, oh, this is 7. That's not good, because you come over here, let's say open this again, oh, it's 7 right here, right? So I'm gonna go back and open this again by closing and opening it, right? So now I'm gonna go ahead and close and open. So I'm gonna go back in here, policy. Now you know that domain policy is changed. So to do this, you either need to tell the user to restart their machine, or you have to run a GP update policy. So this is what it's important to know. A lot of people will ask you this in an interview. Do you know how to run a group policy update on a machine? So this is how you do it. GP update /force. So then it forces those policies on this machine now. So now if you were to do it directly on this machine as well, you may have just probably come over here and do this first, because let's say there are domain policies changed and it's need to be working. So if we go back to local security policies and up on account policies and up on password policies, you see now it's 10. This is what I'm talking about. So now, of course, this ticket was related to just one simple thing. Hey, what is the complexity of this password? But of course, when we are doing all this stuff, I like to show so many different things, so many different angles, and so many different practical things that you can learn that is attached to that ticket somehow. So this way you get more technical and understand or learn more, or maybe you listen to this or watch this in our live trainings, and now of course it was long videos and you forgot about it. So this is how you perform this ticket. Thank you so much.